what we did with our survey, because I come from the prescription drug side, I was aware, of course, that there's vigilance for drug products and consumer products, both in the United States and Canada. And what we did is we followed the principles of our Health Canada Vigilance, where people are encouraged to report adverse health effects, and they never have to prove them. They only have to suspect them. It's all confidential. There's special protocols for protecting the identification of people. And this monitoring takes place over the life of the product. So we set that up the same way. So what we've done is, there's no front-end study done yet, which we want, but the middle part of monitoring we're doing with the Wind Voice survey. And we don't have very many in Ontario. It's a very large province. We've got about 650 turbines there. And people were telling me when we started the survey that they had gag clauses and couldn't participate. And these included both those whose families had hosted turbines and were suffering in ill health but couldn't complain from non-disclosure clauses. And there were also neighbor clauses where neighbors agreed to take a little bit of money and sign a clause, and they couldn't complain. A lot of people didn't want to do the survey just in case word would get out and they might lose property value. Others had lawsuits already started, as Rick James said. People get motivated to sue. And one of the big factors is that a lot of the people that were suffering, when they told friends or relatives or media, they were ridiculed or laughed at. And so that was a very difficult situation. But in spite of that, we got a lot of people filling in our health survey, so go ahead. Right now we've got 99 known victims, and sleep disturbance is number one. We just finished tabulating some results the other day, and right now for sleep disturbance, we have over 67% of our surveyed people are complaining that they can't sleep. This is not insomnia. This is severe. They don't fall asleep, they don't stay asleep, they don't sleep deeply. And within a couple of days, it's very disruptive to someone. So go ahead. We know from World Health, for example, that you need deep sleep and recuperative sleep to recover from the day. So now what I did is I decided to match what our survey results were reporting against what organizations describe as consequences of things like, so the consequences of sleep disturbance are blood pressure, heart rate, a lot of cardiac things happen, and increased body movements. And our survey has 100% people suffering from this. Now, that doesn't mean every single victim reports on every single side effect I'm going to show you. It's a mix of within the population. Our average reports, 5 people have, each person, our average number of complaints for our victims is about 5. So I just wanted to make sure of that. But this is astounding. We're at 30% of our survey results are reporting cardiac problems. The first survey we did, we had about 10%, and so this cardiac situation is very worrisome and concerning. Okay, so next one, the World Health also says there's a lot of, with sleep deprivation, you get cognitive functions, mood changes. Cognitive functions are things like you can't learn, you can't concentrate, and you forget. And this is showing up quite well in our survey as well, and increased fatigue. So you'll notice along the right-hand side, our survey again, every one of those symptoms are picked up. Now, on infrasound, one of the acousticians from the UK, he describes all the sleep disorders, the headaches, the vertigo, which is the spinning. I don't know if any of you have ever experienced that, where you feel like you're spinning. That's a very horrible thing to have. Nystagmus is eyeball movement. And nausea and mental changes occur. And again, our survey is picking up 100%. Adverse effects of low-frequency noise, those are described again. The cardiac things, there's a whole bunch of things that go on there. A lot of irritations, mood problems, depression, and we're picking that up as well, 100%. So it's interesting, I think, because we have now a fair critical mass of 100 people, we're able to match these symptoms with what the claims are that occur with research. Okay? I might mention quality of life is one of the questions we have, and we're over 90% where people say their quality of life has been disrupted. And I have lots saying that it's ruined their lives, so it's very, very discouraging. Now, our survey results are consistent with what's been happening down here with Pierpont and Nissenbaum, and I'll just quickly go over again. It's that sleep problem, inner ear problem, mood, and cardiac. Big hits. Setbacks for health, well, research is showing it can be really far. Rick James has identified the distances, miles, and it's terrain and siting dependent, as he said. Siting means how it's located, again, where your resident is. Upwind, downwind, side to the house. If you have turbines right behind your house, like Barbara did, you get no relief. It just pounds right in there. And we can't say one size fits all, because hilly, flat makes a big difference. So, if, as you know, Rick James said, if you're in hilly terrain, which would be of concern here, and a project is probably coming to my area, and I'm in very hilly terrain as well, the turbine noise is more pronounced. And in New Zealand, they found, because of the contour effect, there was a lot of reverberation and different types of noise occurring there as well. So, AWIA says on hilly terrain, this is quite a long statement, but if it's sited on hilly terrain, where there's dips and hollows, downwind, such a case, turbine noise may carry further on that terrain. Okay, so they're alluding in their fact sheet from 2009, a very recent one, they're acknowledging that hilly terrain may cause more problem. Okay, now this is out of scale. I apologize, I had to squish it in, but this shows shadow flicker in hilly terrain, and shadow flicker hasn't gotten a lot of attention for some reason, but it's starting to be a growing concern. And you'll see if you have a hill 700 feet high, like I say, it's out of scale, and turbines to that particular height, I can't add that fast. But on this particular model, the shadow flicker will go over 12,000 feet. That's a long ways to be experiencing shadow flicker, okay? We're all in Ontario asking, and have been asking and asking for a year. It's so easy. Just do the third-party health studies. We have competing claims right now. Industry says don't worry, the government says don't worry, and we have victims saying we're worried. So it's so easy, just do the studies, but as I showed you in that reference, it's hard to get them, okay? And clinicians down here are asking for studies as well, so we're not alone asking, okay? What we did this week on Monday, we are suing the government. We've applied to the courts for a judicial review. And what we're trying to do is strike down the bad parts of the Green Energy Act and regulations, the ones relating to health. Because there is a precautionary principle that if you don't know, and if there's scientific uncertainty, in pharmacy, we were really careful. We didn't fool around, didn't risk anybody. Everybody counted. Individuals counted, and we're really careful, and physicians are. So we don't know enough. We've got a lot of indicators that there's a problem, so we want the precautionary principle invoked. And we'll see what's going to happen with that.